just reached 2,500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours on my YouTube channel. I then realized that I haven't even told you who I am or how I got here. My name is Mia and I'm in the top 1% of sellers on Etsy with my digital file shop for laser cutting called Mimo Design Laser Files. Besides selling files, I also have a physical shop where I primarily sell plaques, military plaques, and Sicilian merch. Also, I am the founder of several Facebook groups, and also I'm the co-owner of AllStarsDesign.com, which is a platform that hosts original and awesome designers. It's been almost 4 years since I entered this world. Let's start from the beginning. My business journey began in June 2020. As you might hear, I am Danish and we left Denmark because my husband is military and he was offered a position in Sicily. So we packed up all our stuff back in Denmark, sold our house, our cars, said goodbye to friends and family, and started this adventure. I was already pregnant with a little boy that we knew would be named Felix. We drove all the way to Sicily with our beagle dog, and I was laying in the back with her. We got the most amazing paradise-looking rental house that we are still living in. But I knew, because I've been creative since birth, that I couldn't just be a stay-at-home mom or a housewife. I had to do something in those 3 years originally that we were going to be stationed here. So late August, I ordered a silhouette cameo and I started a vinyl business. Since we were in Sicily, I had the idea to buy some wine bottles, remove the labels and then replace them with vinyl instead. Which was great until I realized that the products I was selling locally to the military base were about 95% American buyers, which already had a vinyl cutter at home. So it didn't really take off, but I was able to make a lot of cute stuff for my son that I was expecting. After a month, on September 26th exactly, I had the best and the worst day of my entire life. As you might have guessed, I delivered my beautiful baby boy. My water broke in the morning. I was admitted to the Naval Hospital and they gave me medicine to give birth 3 weeks early. Everything was great until 3 hours later. And I'm sorry if I'll start crying, but still 4 years later, this is really sentimental for me to talk about. But 3 hours later, after I gave birth, my son suddenly stopped breathing. They called code blue, code red. They were so confused. So all of a sudden, my room was filled with doctors, like another episode of the ER, because they called out twice the alerts and they thought that we both had respiratory issues, which we didn't. My son, however, was giving the best of the best possible care. Unfortunately, the Naval Hospital didn't have a NICU, so my son was admitted to our local hospital downtown in Catania. This, of course, happened during the pandemic, so after all 3 of us, including my newborn, had taken negative COVID tests, we were allowed to follow the ambulance to the Sicilian hospital. My husband and I hadn't started learning any Italian at all, so we prayed that they knew English. To our luck, the doctor did, but most Italian people or Sicilian people actually doesn't know how to speak English. So we were in luck, and he told us that Felix had immature lungs and they had to put him in an incubator and treat him with oxygen. So in total, he was admitted for 12 days. The worst part about this was that because of the COVID, we were only allowed to visit him 10 minutes a day each, every single day. Some of the days we were lucky enough that they allowed us to go in together, so we had 20 minutes, but I think that happened 4 times out of the 12. I am still forever grateful for my husband because he gave me so much of his time. And for a first-time mom, this experience was probably the worst experience I've ever had, and I don't wish this to happen for anyone else. But after 12 days, they finally allowed me to be co-admitted with him because he wasn't eating as much as they wanted him to. Also, we had to figure out breastfeeding. I didn't know how, and neither did he. So I had all my hopes up when I came to the hospital, but basically the 3 days we were there, we were left alone because I only spoke English and the staff didn't. So I was thrilled that he had gained enough weight after the 3 days to be able to go home with me. My husband picked us up and we headed home, where he met our beagle dog Zoe for the first time. She was so thrilled about this little newborn baby, and they became the best of friends. After he came home and had calm and love around him, he finally started eating. He ate twice as much as the doctors prescribed. So he grew so fast and gained so much weight in a short amount of time. Today he is 4 years old and he is healthy as a horse. So I thank God every single day that he made it, because he is really my true miracle. But you might see why my vinyl business kind of died out from that point, because I wanted to spend some more time with my son because of this. 2021 and I was back in business. Felix did a whole lot better and I refound my energy despite of the lack of sleep by having a newborn. I was again doing vinyl with him on the side, but I didn't really sell as much as I hoped for. So one late evening after I had tucked in my son, I was watching Facebook and this ad suddenly showed up from Glowforge. I had never seen a laser before and I was intrigued. I followed the link, and let's just say if you are a Glowforge owner, you know that they are pretty pricey. So I started investigating and I stumbled across a page that's called Viva. They had a giant 80 watt CO2 laser to hardly any money, and it almost sounded too good to be true. I've been scammed before by Chinese companies, so I was a little suspicious and anxious to place the order, but I did. And in March 2021, my laser arrived. My husband helped me to assemble and set up everything, and if it wasn't for him, I would probably still be aligning my mirrors. The Viva is very similar to the Omtech, so I took a lot of knowledge from the Omtech Facebook group and used it for my own laser. After testing materials and finding the right settings, I went ahead and started making products. And like most other new businesses, I started out with engraved cutting boards, and I found some cute files on Etsy that I tried to offer to my customers. But again, I forgot to take into my considerations that 95% of my customers were American. These American spouses were, of course, not looking for something that they could get back in the US. So instead, I actually had one wine bottle which sold really well. I made a label with the Sicilian island, and I figured that if I integrated some Sicilian designs into my laser projects, they might be sellable. In May 2021, I designed my first best-selling fowl in Lightburn. So I knew that I had to make some Sicilian stuff, and what would be better than a Sicilian-shaped charcuterie board, since everyone eats tapas here. So I took the island of Sicily, added some lines, and I ended up with this. I then posted it in our local community group, and in one single day I had 17 orders. So that day alone I made 850 euro, that's about $930 in one day. So in less than 4 months I actually had paid off my laser and found my niche. So I began designing all types of Sicilian merch that I could sell to the American spouses on our local military base. And it was a success. One day in June, my husband came back from work and he asked me if I could make a kind of plaque for his department. They had just received a baby and they wanted to give them a gift of something. So I designed their aircraft, a Global Hawk, carrying a baby. I am still selling this design today to his department, amongst other designs, and it really got me going on making my military plaques. So after a while, a lot of departments reached out to me and asked if I could make them either welcoming gifts or farewell gifts or retirement plaques, promotion plaques, whatever. So today I primarily sell plaques and not so much of my custom pieces. I do, however, create a lot of files today, and those products from my files I offer at auctions to the military spouses. But being able to create something new every single day is truly my passion, which is why I had to slow down on the physical side of my business to have more time to the digital side of business. The digital side of my business started actually in August 2021 when my good friend Babu came to visit us down here in Sicily with her boyfriend. She was already selling sublimation designs on Etsy. At that time, I had no idea what Etsy was or how you did, but she explained me how to list your digital files and such, and she told me that, in her opinion, my files were great enough to sell. I am Danish and pretty insecure by nature, so I didn't fully agree, but in November 2021 I opened up my Etsy shop, and in just 16 days I had reached my first milestone of 100 sales. So my first 2 files were these scored 25 names of Jesus ornaments and also these scored Santa boards. Both immediately became bestsellers, so I guess I got really lucky. But I had a lot of questions about scoring because not everyone knew what it was. So the very next day I decided to make a Facebook helping group, the group you might know as Laser with Mimo Design. And the day after I made the group, I decided to go ahead and make my very first tutorial, and it was absolutely awful.
Hi guys. Okay. After reshooting this about 50 times, I realized that I suck at making tutorials. I'm Danish, so I have a very funny accent, I know. I'm really nervous because I haven't done this before. And I suck at making videos. I'm standing outside because my son is asleep and I don't want my husband to be laughing at me.
So if I could pull this off for my first tutorial and sit here by now, you might see how you can go from absolutely awful content to actually provide some better content. So if you want to be in my position today, I will help you out and share my journey in making tutorials and my YouTube channel and everything else. But this was actually so terrifying that I decided that I would never do a tutorial again where I had to watch myself or do any speaking, which is why I started making all my tutorials with text only and music, which explains all the kind of bad tutorials that I have on my channel. Also, I created an Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, you name it, all types of social accounts to be able to promote myself and my work. I honestly didn't know what leg to stand on, which is why my early videos comes in so many different formats. In 2022, my Etsy shop had exploded. I went from making a nice little passive income to actually making great money. My son had started daycare in April, so it gave me a lot more time to work on my business. And by July 2022, I had reached 5,500 sales. And all of a sudden, I got a lot of weird requests on making a YouTube channel. So this is the same channel that you are watching right now. And there's a billion reasons why it didn't take off until recently. I did a lot of changes 3 months ago. If you would like to learn more about those and learn from my failures and what I did to improve them, please drop a comment below, because this video is already pretty long. But in 2022, I created a bunch of files and I really took off my business to the next level. I was so happy because I finally felt like I found that shelf that I had been looking for my entire life. Then came 2023, and this was also a year with a lot of mixed feelings. So in January, my biggest admirer, supporter and fan of my Etsy shop, the grandfather of Felix, passed away. Shortly after, I reached 15,000 sales. And I am a big wuss, so I had to stop the video once again. But heading on to Easter, we had bought a house back in Denmark, which we were going to move in when our stationing is over. It is next year in July. And we made sure that it had a great space for my business. So in the Easter, we went to Denmark to renovate this house. 2 days before we were flying back to Sicily, my Etsy shop got hacked. To my luck, I don't sleep well at night, so I was laying up late at night, and all of a sudden I received a message from one of my file buyers. She was interested in purchasing one of my best-selling baskets, but the price had suddenly increased from $6 to $170. So I jumped out of bed and headed to my laptop to see what the heck was happening. While I was chatting with one of the employees from Etsy, all of a sudden I was locked out from my business account and I couldn't enter again because two-way verification had been turned on. The hacker started listing furniture with my business logo on them, which is a little strange because I was only selling digital files for laser cutting. But he actually succeeded in selling one of these fork listings for a dresser that I obviously wasn't able to deliver or make. And shortly after, Etsy finally suspended my shop so they could investigate further. Before I got locked out, I discovered that he had changed my bank account and even the country, which was a little suspicious. But we had to get back to Sicily and I had to wait until we landed on Sicilian ground. After returning to Sicily, I did everything in my power to get my business back. So I spoke to Etsy 4 to 8 times every single day. I even had to make an American phone number to be able to talk to them on the phone. At the time that I got hacked, I had almost 500 files in my Etsy shop. So needless to say that I was absolutely devastated. Not only had my source of income been taken away from me, I also had to prove who I was all the time so that I could get my shop back. Also, I was terrified that this hacker would download all my files and sell them later. After 15 days, I was finally able to get access to my account again. I then discovered the horrible truth about what really happened, but due to Etsy's politics, I can't tell you. But if you have an Etsy shop, make sure that you turn on the two-way verification because the security on Etsy truly sucks. Which also led me to the next chapter in my business. So while I was hacked, I was obviously losing money. And I spoke to my friend Babu, who was also selling these sublimation files on Etsy. She has also had some issues with Etsy in the past. And we agreed that we should make our own website so that our files were secure and we could actually make more profit of them because we didn't have to pay the almost 25% in total. That is the fees that Etsy takes. So she began to make the website and I started uploading my files, and then we had an idea. If I had this experience and if my files were this insecure, I thought that other designers might have the same issues. So instead of just being a website with my laser files and Babu's sublimation designs, we actually made it a platform. I reached out to a ton of awesome designers that I already knew and asked them if they would like to cooperate, because it was kind of like a cooperation, because every time that I am throwing a sale or releasing a new file, they would automatically have views on their work as well. Also, we lowered the fee so that the designers could actually make more money from selling at our platform instead of Etsy. So in June 2023, AllStarsDesign.com was public. We are still looking for designers, so if you are a laser file or sublimation designer, don't hesitate to reach out to us. The only thing we demand is that you are 100% original, which means that you make your own files and don't copy other people's work. So AllStarsDesign was launched, and then in August 2023 I had my first file theft. After the hacker attack, I was already down with 36% traffic compared to the other years, because this hacker changed the prices on all my bestsellers, so all my bestsellers lost the batch. And then I finally managed to gain some traffic again because I released some countdown ornaments and also some new layered Santa trays. When I listed this Santa tray, a piece of chose to steal not only my file, also my pictures, my text that I had made on Facebook, and she resold my file for half the price. I then had to put up with this and fight discourse. I did manage to get her blocked off Facebook and got all those posts taken down. Despite all of this, I chose to just keep going and I designed this countdown that turned out to be my very best selling file and also kind of became my niche. Of course, the day after, it was copied. This was actually doomed to happen because I made a lot of tutorials showing you how to assemble, and that inspired the Copycats to create the exact same assembling system that I invented. I am not the original owner of the idea of a countdown ornament, but I am certainly the original designer of the way my countdowns are built. Today you'll find several editions on Etsy, and to be honest, it doesn't really get to me anymore, but it did. It was so frustrating. So please, guys, if you want to sell files, don't be that copycat or false thief. If you want success, there's only one way to get it. That is unique ideas, original files, and a ton of work. Not only is it affecting the designer who was copied or stolen from, you will hardly get any success in doing this. Because most of the designers that you are copying has such a great community of file buyers that already know who they are, so they will recognize the design that you are copying. So if you want to be successful, you have to build up your own business. Stepping into 2024, I had high hopes that this would be the best year ever. I was so motivated because the last quarter of 2023, I kept making record high sales. I came out with a 6-figure revenue and I was so excited. The countdowns was a big part of that success, so of course I continued to implement the idea into new designs. I made 3 to 5 files every single week and I posted, as I always did, on Facebook to tell my customers about my new releases. But for some reason, and I still don't get why, my posts didn't get any views. They did, but not like they used to. So even in my own file sharing group where I have more than 43,000 members, I got around 500 to 800 views if I was lucky. This was so demotivating and it kind of made me not want to post anything anymore. But with the business I have, I knew that I had to. But in April, I started thinking of alternative ways to do my business. So I had ideas to make a file club to prevent the copycats and file thefts that I experienced in 2023. And then in May 2024, I attended this live event called Laser Craft Fest. This was a virtual event and I was so inspired by all the speakers. Even though I didn't learn much, I loved to see how they were able to educate and motivate and teach other people. And I knew that I wanted to be in those shoes. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and started making actual tutorials and not just for my files. Since I design all my work in Lightburn, it was easy for me to make some Lightburn tutorials, and they were so well appreciated. But of course, there was this who decided to trash me. Anyway, for some reason, people have this picture in their minds that if a person wants to help out other people, they must have a secret motive of making money or something like that. I wasn't even monetized on my channel at that time. I really genuinely just wanted to educate and help and inspire other makers. That is my biggest motivation in doing this and the reason why I am where I am today. Because while money is great to have and it's cool to make a passive income, I know I need to make a salary to be able to support my family, or at least help my family to be supported. My biggest motivation personally is to make a difference for other people and help other people succeed in business but also in life. And that's basically why I make my tutorials. It's not to earn money, it's to help you. So after receiving a few slaps in my face, it honestly took hard on me. And I started to lose my usually self. The positive thing was that I was starting to create this new identity of who I was, and it clearly showed. So after I released these new tutorials, I was approached by Xtool and also Creality Falcon, who wanted to make a collaboration with me. It didn't take long, and then the Laser Design Club asked if I would make an exclusive tutorial for their club. I hadn't expected anything of this to happen, so I was so honored and happy that they reached out, because that truly meant that I was doing something right. I was still working on some new projects and files, but honestly, after all the negativity and stuff around me, I got burned out. I had already cut out these adorable countdown ornaments that were pet themed and requested by so many of my buyers, and I had them laying on my table ready to paint, assemble and make a assembling tutorial for. But every time I was thinking about doing it, my heart started pounding and my hands became all sweaty, and I knew that something was terribly wrong. I had already been sick with stress while I was younger for a whole year, and I didn't want to go there again, especially not with a son and my husband. So instead I started working on some more tutorials because that really made me happy, and I was happy that I was able to help some people, and also I felt like I was making a difference. But things got worse for me, and in July 2024 I decided that I had to quit. Not forever, but I had to stop until I felt better. So for 2 months I only spent time with my family. I taught my son how to swim, and we had the greatest summer ever. So in September I decided to go back to creating my files, but as a matter of fact, until today, we are in October, I have only made 9 new listings. And that's what I usually almost did in a week or 2. But with all the negativity, the algorithms, the lack of likes and comments on my posts, the copycats and all these collaborations that I was suddenly in, everything just felt too much. So I knew that I had to find my way back to where this all started. And I started this because I truly love what I do. I love coming up with new ideas. I love being able to be creative, and I love being able to help other people. So in June, I actually realized that I was only 100 watch hours away from getting monetized, reaching the 3,000 hours anyway. So I decided that I would take a step towards that and slow down on my new creations. It did take a little longer than I expected, but here I am. I found some great resources that made me realize that I was doing so many wrong things on YouTube. I'm not at all a YouTuber. Not yet anyway. I might be in the future. But a part of the purpose on doing this video is also to show you that with practice and by trying over and over, you can only get better at what you want. So if you want to be a YouTuber, go ahead. Make videos, step out of that comfort zone. I have so much low self-esteem, believe it or not, but it has really slowed down the things that I wanted to do for so long, and I'm done with it. So this year I promised myself that I would work on a new strategy, content that is for everyone with a laser anyway, and not so much for my own files or my file bias. I want to teach people how to design. I design everything Lightburn and I have 4 years of practice. I am 100% self-taught, as I am in everything else that I've done this far. But I know that a ton of people are starting from scratch and don't have an idea about anything, and I really want to help them out so they have the possibility to get where I am today. So please, with this said, if you have any requests or ideas on content that you need or want my help with, please drop a comment below, because I am always looking for new ideas and I will rather give you what you want than what I think you need. I still have to make some of my files and tutorials for those, because I need to have a source of income, but I am hoping that I will be able to do both, because this is something that I have become truly passionate about. Since we still have 1 year left of our stationing here in Sicily, I do have the freedom and opportunity to do whatever I want. Still, though, I include my son in pretty much anything and everything that I do and make, I only have those hours where he's in daycare available for me to work. I used to work in the night, I used to start my computer as soon as he fell asleep, but I don't do that anymore. My work took away so much time from my family. So I decided that I will prioritize my family over work. I will prioritize you over money. And I'll start making a business plan on how I can make business when we get back home to Denmark, because that's when I need a stable salary. Actually, I don't need it right now. So this luxury and blessing that I have currently, I really want to give you the opportunity to benefit from. With that said, if you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. Please comment on this video. Please give it a like. It will help my algorithms to be boosted, and it will help me achieve my goal so I can help you achieve yours. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you soon.